And we are live. You can catch us on YouTube, Twitch, Rumble, Kick, and Facebook. Do not forget to like and subscribe. This is the Dad Academy segment. We'll be right back with you, Howlers. Right back. Howls over Baaz. I'm Jacob Casas.
And this is Ambishun, the Black Cup.
And today we have a very special guest, but this is going to be a normal thing. So I'm going to have Jeff have you introduce yourself just like, we do now.
Yeah, what's up? Jeff Hamilton here with Dad Academy.
So welcome back, Jeff. And we're going to make this, just so you guys know, we want to make this a once a month thing right now. We want to start pushing Dad Academy. You know that we talk about fatherhood a lot in this podcast. So Jeff Kim, I know you guys seen the last podcast because his clips are going crazy. I know you got one clip over at 100,000 right now.
Crazy.
One of his clips hit 100,000, and they just keep hitting like 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 all over all different platforms of social media. So. Welcome back, Jeff, and let's we're gonna dive a little bit into other things. And I know you weren't here last time, Ambishun, so let's get into this. How do you want to start this off? We get into the curriculum a little bit. Like, what are we gonna get into, Jeff, on this end?
Does everybody know about Dad Academy? What is Dad Academy before you start getting into that? If everybody doesn't know,
Yeah. So 10 years ago, my kids graduated from high school, and I kind of felt like, having worked with families for over 35 years now, I coach high school athletics, so I deal with all of the good and the bad with parents and their kids, right? And I know we don't got no little league dads out there that are like always complaining about why my kid don't play and all that kind of stuff, right? So as a pastor, I get involved with the intimate things that happen in people's lives, and man. So watching families and raising my own and seeing my kids that they kind of grew up to be pretty functional adults with minimal amount of therapy. I just thought, right? Because I mean, there's no way that you can escape growing up with your pops without
no type of trauma somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Even the best of us. In fact, that's one of the cool things. Like one of the things that the Bible says, I think that we really want to keep in mind. Is it says that, like, fathers did the best that they knew how. And so the problem is with so many dads, especially for those of us or those of you who may have, like, man, I don't know, I don't want to talk about my dad and stuff like this. There's too many things. Like, even our guest that was right before her talked about the rough family life that we grew up with. We forget that, like, sometimes you just don't know, right? Like,
yeah, and we were talking about this.
There's this old quote that I heard. It's, if you knew better, you do better.
Bro, that's totally it.
Well, there was something that we were talking about too, though, Mark Heath, and I want to bring this up because I think it'd be good to see your perspective on it. This was my mom that said this, but we were talking because remember we had this conversation about where my mom was telling me to pause the TV when your kid's talking to you. Okay, so this is what my mom told me, right? She said, my kid kept coming up to me and wanted to tell me about his video game or his something he wanted to talk about. He would explain the whole story to me, though. And I would be like, but watch your TV. Keep watching TV. And my mom would be like, she'd cuss. She'd be like, turn the effing TV off or pause it and pay attention to your kid. And I'd be like, Mom, chill. She's like, listen, I didn't want to hear about Batman or Superman and that stuff, but I paused the TV and I heard what you had to say. And I was like, I just kind of laughed. She goes, pay attention to your kid. And we were talking about this, and he was like, well, what if you didn't know that? Nobody told you that. Remember you were saying that? So give a little bit of your perspective, because I felt like what happened with me is I learned really early on, pay attention to that.
I think that conversation was kind of revolving around, because Jacob's the type of person, he doesn't give much grace to a situation. If it's there and it's not there, it's either you should know or you shouldn't know.
Right.
And I was like, no, but you have to look at what your mother told you, because if your mother hadn't have told you that, you wouldn't have been able to respond to your son in that manner because you didn't know prior to that. You would have probably been still into the TV until he probably cried or something and showed you something different. Then you're like, oh, Jesus, I gotta get over here.
For
but
sure.
but you got a wake up call from your mother before it got to that point, and not many of us have that opportunity to get that wake up call before it gets to that point where now there's damage or trauma, whatever else. So take care and make sure those kids are straight.
You know, I don't want to like hurt anybody's feelings around here, but we're talking hopefully man to man around here.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, there is a lot of ignorance when it comes to fatherhood. And I don't mean that dads are dumb or that dads are stupid.
Some are.
Right? What's the definition? Well,
Okay,
you can't fix stupid, right?
No, you can't.
But you can fix ignorance
Yes.
because ignorance is not knowing what you don't know.
Mhm.
Right? Like to go back, like some of y'all need to write this stuff down. Like you need to write this reminder down of what Marquise just said about like if you knew better, you would do better. And some of us don't do better just because we don't know. Dad was not around. We've not had a good model. We've been left to fend to ourselves. When you start talking about the necessity of even 2-parent households in our current culture, if you have the benefit of having mom and dad in the house, most likely both of them are working.
Yeah.
Which means that you're fending for yourself a large portion of the day as kids.
Mm.
And then when mom or dad gets home, what happens is immediately we click into the kids' activities. We got to run to soccer practice. We got to go to basketball practice. We got to go to dance lessons. We got to do, right? So the schedule is always running, and there's never really any opportunity to sit back and to evaluate, am I doing a good job? Am I being intentional about shaping them? I think sometimes we talked about this last time on the pod was that there's a lot of outsourcing of our parenting that goes on, right? If I'm a high school coach.
What sports?
I do all three. I because of the book, I didn't do football this year, but I have done 5 years of football. I played small college basketball, so I'm going into my 10th basketball season.
What city are you in?
Well, I coach in San Juan Capistrano, South Orange County. So we play like on our schedule, like we're the Boscos, Mater Days, J. Sarah's. J. Sarah's like right up the street from us. Capistrano Valley Christian. We got kids in D1. I'm going into my 8th baseball season. I got kids that are in the minors. I'm an assistant, right? The head coaches. But really what I do is not only do I share kind of the experience of being a lifelong athlete and my bringing that kind of perspective to the kids, but also we talk about culture a lot, right? What does it really require, and help kids connect dots. And so when we talk about coaches, like I'll spend more time with a high school boy that's on my team during his season than his dad will.
Yeah.
Because I'll have him 3 to 4 hours every day
With actual intimate time.
Yes.
Because you're not on your phone, you're not none of that. You're spending
I just
direct
told
intimate
someone
time.
this the other day, and I said, I don't think we really realize, because one of my buddies, he just became a head coach over at Pacific High School in San Bernardino.
Okay.
And we're having a conversation about him, and I said, I don't think people really realize how important male figures are in these boys' life, in these young men's life outside of the home. Oftentimes, like you said earlier, parents are working. Parents get home from work in between 5 and 7 o'clock. Kid gets home from school maybe between 3 and 5.
Right.
Parents get home, they're trying to make dinner, they want to get them ready for school. You might see that child for maybe an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours max. Kids have a bedtime. You don't realize how much a kid is not getting from home that he's getting at school, which is why I feel like teachers and school in general is one of the most important kids in a child's life outside of the parenting.
That's why I went back into coaching, right? Once my kids got out of high school and I started Dad Academy, that's why I went in and started volunteering as a coach, really because I knew that next to dad, coach is, for many young men, one of the most important figures in his life.
Mm-hmm.
And in certain dynamics in our communities, it may be the only father figure that these young men have. And actually, like one of the things that I say all the time about coaching is that what I really do is I make men. Sports is my tool. That's my real job, because very few, even though I have the privilege of getting to coach some high-level athletes, which is super fun, right? I like to win. I like swag. I like free stuff from Nike. I like all the little stuff that comes along with it. Um,
I'm a size 13.
but me too. In fact, I saw your shoes coming in. You didn't even look at mine, bro. So we're gonna have an issue
okay, I
after
got
we're
you.
done, right? So.
He didn't even match the hat.
Oh, okay, there we go.
So we're on brand. We're
Yes,
on
sir.
point.
There we go.
So but we really, so few of them are going to go on to. Maybe I get with basketball. I might get a third of my kids who get to play at some level beyond high school.
Mhm.
I've never, even though I got D1 kids, we have not had one yet reach the NBA.
How do you, not to go off topic
Yeah.
too much, but you're talking about the kids right now. I've coached high school basketball. I coached at Beaumont High School. I coached at Powell Charter Academy in San Bernardino. And how do you go about tapping into some of these kids? Some of these kids only play because it's all they have to do. They don't do it because they love it. They don't have the passion. Some kids are really good, but they don't really care about it because, oh, I know how to play, so I'll play. Coach asked me, so I'll play. How do you tap into that child's inner passion for what they're doing? How do you go about pulling that out of them?
Well, that's the same challenge I have with grown-ups at church. They just come to church because, like, well, I guess that's what I do on Sundays, and if I have time for it, I'll make it. How do we rearrange our priorities? I think the most important thing is that we connect dots between the disciplines that we teach in athletics with real life, right? There's a reason why sports are so important in a young person's life, and I speak about this only because of
Sports with a good coach.
Well, even sports with a bad coach makes you navigate some stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because some of the best lessons that you have to learn is being able to persevere even when somebody is not for you.
Yeah.
Right? There's like even that's a life lesson that we can teach like even in drama, right? I have a musician daughter. She's in Brooklyn trying to make it as a, white girl neo soul artist. She's super dope, doing a great job. But like this is a struggle. And through high school, while she ran track and stuff, she was also primarily in the arts. And she lost like lead roles, right? To a drama teacher that just didn't like her. It's just like having a coach.
Yeah.
So what do I tell her? Do I need to go in and intervene with that coach? I'm not going to convince that teacher to change her mind. I've never had a parent have a conversation. You tell me, have you ever had a parent change your mind about playing time for their kid?
No.
Never. Right? In fact, what you're trying to do is to help that parent get a real picture of who their kids are.
Oftentimes,
because,
that parent can make it harder on that child.
bro, all day. So my job is not to change the teacher. My job is to change the child. So I had to come alongside and offer the support, offer the kind of encouragement, encourage her to stick it out, because this teacher was not going to be the thing that stood in the way of her accomplishing her dreams. If she's really going after it, then what I need to do is to come alongside and support, because that won't be the only disappointment that she's had.
No.
Listen, that disappointment of not getting the lead role in the school play when she was a junior is also coming to grips with when a particular management firm that has come out to see your show said, I don't think you're the right fit for us. We deal with rejection all the time,
Yeah.
right? That's one of the reasons why we like sports. Bro, listen, when it comes to being married, baseball, you only have to be right 3 times out of 10, and you can be an all-star that makes millions of dollars a year, right?
Yeah, those stats are crazy.
Hitting
That-
300, right? My wife, I wish I could hit 300 with my wife and be an all-star. 900% is not enough, right? And so helping kids understand how to connect dots. Let's talk about basketball. I'm big on footwork. I'm big on understanding screens and angles,
Fundamentals.
right? Those things are true in life. The fundamentals of how you position yourself, how you look to set your teammates up for success, how you're anticipating the play 3 or 4 passes ahead of time. Those are skills that directly translate into success in life. And so helping the kids, I don't know if I've ever pulled out passion from one of my athletes, a greater passion than they already have. What I can do is take what they have and help them translate that into real world skills. Because, listen, there's no substitute for making free throws other than practicing them. And that's the most boring thing in the world. doing homework is shooting free throws. And yet at some point, you're going to be called on to make a difference. Somebody's got to make that game-winning free throw, and you're not going to make it unless you haven't practiced.
Have you ran across a student that was naturally gifted, didn't have to practice, he just had the natural gift of whatever sport he was playing?
Of course. They're the hardest ones, right?
That was me.
Unless they have so unless you trust the coach and you build that kind of relationship, because one of the things that kids don't understand, I don't get to make all league again. There, as an assistant coach, there's no reward for me. Oh, look at you. Like we win a CIF championship. I don't even get a t-shirt. But I've been at practice every single day through the whole season, right? Mm-hmm. I'm driving kids to games and I'm picking them up after a loss. I don't get any kind of reward at the end. They're the only ones who have a chance to make all league. So if they can't trust me that I'm helping them to get better, then that's the challenge. And to tell you the truth, that's like one of the challenges as we start to coach men. So many men go, how many times did a kid has told you like, no, I got it. And you're like, that's the worst thing you can ever say to a coach, because if you had it, we wouldn't have to correct you. We wouldn't have to coach you up. And men say all the time, especially when it comes to fatherhood, like, no, I got it. I'll figure it out. That's a curse of death for your family.
I think that though in fatherhood, I think the translation is mildly different, because in fatherhood, we're expected to have it. We're expected to know. There's never a moment in fatherhood where we can say, I don't know it, because the moment you do now, you're frowned upon. The moment you
By
say,
who?
I need society. It's not that it's okay, but society frowns upon a man who doesn't know. You're supposed to have it together as a man. You're not supposed to be looking for a job. You're not supposed to be not knowing how to reprimand your child if they mess up. You're supposed to know as a man. And the moment you don't know, you're the issue now.
But if that's the case, then why don't we spend more time cultivating those kind of skills? See, I think as men, look, I work with guys in some of the most traumatic moments of their lives, right? By the time somebody's coming to me for marriage counseling, we've already gone a little bit too far. You know that they've waited a little bit too long. Yeah. Right? Because I'm like coming to counseling, asking for help is one of the, like, that's the kiss of death. And I think somehow as men, we need to get beyond that. That's why I love the idea that we can bring a topic on HOB that like is not normal. Like, who out there is discussing like, hey, how do we become better dads?
Yeah.
Well, if we're going to become better dads, we better be able to be coached by each other.
Yeah.
We better be able to be held accountable to certain standards that says this is what we're going to do to be able to be the best that we can be. So your kids are only going to grow and develop to the level that you're committed to grow and develop as a person. And so when we give that kind of energy, when we create that kind of safe community, there are some expectations. But us sitting around the table in the room, if I don't have a safe place to go, like, bro, I'm struggling with this.
But many don't have that safe space. How many are there, this program that you're running and this organization that you have, there's not many that are out there for men that are really like a safe haven, that you can have a safe space and be able to have a conversation and be able to just pour your heart out and be vulnerable. It's not much out there. And I can say that from experience.
I think
Even some of our friends judge us.
Our friends judge us because they find themselves in the same situation, right? Mm-hmm. And that's man culture, right? If you don't know, make somebody else feel more stupid than you. Yeah. So, I want to push back on that a little bit, mm-hmm. because I do think that one of the signs of being a real man is to have people in your life that you trust. The problem is that many of us have had that trust violated. Mm-hmm. And so what we're going to do is we're not going to take that risk of like getting hurt or getting exposed. That still doesn't excuse us from that incredibly important need that we have to learn and to grow together. And going through that stuff together, that's why so many veterans are bonded together, because of sharing the same experience, right? And having each other's backs. I think that's why some of my best friends are still my college teammates that I played basketball with. Why? Because I'm with them every every day, the ups and downs and the ins and outs. And we've maintained those relationships over the course of our lives, not just because we like basketball. It's because on the court, we learned to trust each other, and that skill transcended the court into real life.
Those relationships right there that you had to develop over time, seemingly they don't exist anymore. Now, this society that we're in, even when you have grown with friends, everyone's trying to outdo the next person.
Yeah.
So why do you think that is? Why is that? Why do guys always want to top the other dude?
It's always competition.
Why?
It's always about me.
And it's a silent competition at that. So you don't even know somebody's competing with you until you get to the where you're trying to get you like this whole time.
But if you look at what you're trying to accomplish, I think if you really, really, really look into what you're trying to accomplish, you won't give a damn what somebody else is doing. If you do, it should be like friendly. Like, oh damn, I like what they did. You incorporate what they're doing into what you're doing. I think that's a really good way of looking at things because I mean, I feel like a lot of the times, even with my I kind of feel like with my friends, a lot of the times it was always friendly competition.
You have friends?
Yeah, it was like it was like friendly competition.
By the way, let me go back to that. I just talked about the comedian John Mulcahy from Saturday Night Live. He says men don't have friends. Their wives have friends, and they have husbands. Those are not your friends.
Yeah.
Right?
There you go.
Well, I think a lot of the time, too, is what's going on with dads. I can even say from experience because I started really, really paying attention to my kids when I got a divorce.
Right.
So I was going home, dealing with drama, stress at work, all this stuff. Coming home, yeah, I love my kids, and I was paying attention to them, but nothing like I am now. Once I got divorced.
Right.
It's like I was responding to life, not living it, not enjoying the moments I'm having with them. And I realized that there was like a certain point, it was like pretty quick on after I got divorced that I realized they're not going to be children for too much longer.
Yeah. Do you feel like with what you said right now about not really paying attention to them in the manner that you probably should have wasn't until you got divorced? Do you feel like it was because the bulk of your attention was going on trying to see what was in the marriage and what was happening with the marriage?
Yeah.
You wanted to be everything
Definitely.
you could in that part?
Definitely. It was everything. It was work. It was everything. But now, since
You got a better balance.
yeah, I understood, I was like, I get to look at them and they're going to grow up. And the things, I mean, even with me and my dad, there's things that we did when I was a kid that I'll never forget because I loved having those kind of conversations with him. So, and I know my son comes out and wants to talk to me, and I'm like, turn everything off. Like, don't worry about what's going on. Are you going to give a damn about what you were doing 5 years from now, what you're trying to look at instead of paying attention to him? But guess what? He's going to remember that conversation because I remember those conversations.
You know what makes things better when it's a struggle for us as men? When you have somebody next to you, a woman, your wife, your mate, whichever one it is, that is not only encouraging you to be present and not with presents or gifts, but present,
Right.
in the life of that child versus battling with you for your attention. It's an amazing feeling when you can have somebody next to you that pushes you to be present with your kids, that pushes you and encourages you to have conversation with your children. It's a different thing, and a lot of women aren't doing that. A lot of women are battling for the attention for your attention between the kids.
Yeah.
A lot of women are doing that, and it's like to have somebody next to you to be like, hey, you know what? Have you spoken to your kids today? Hey, and not that you don't speak to your kids, but to encourage you, like, hey, go check on your kids today, or whatever the case might be. Hey, that conversation you had with your daughter the other day, that wasn't the right word you chose. I'm a woman, and what I heard sounded like this, and you're like, man. But to have that, it creates a different type of balance where you're not trying to focus on her, what she's doing, what she's not doing, how the marriage is going to go, what's going to be fixed, what's not going to be fixed. You done missed so much time with these kids. You said about the divorce thing. When I divorced my kid's mother, when we got divorced, the way that I dealt with my children shifted entirely. I was always just angry individual, yelling at my kids, just didn't make any sense. But after the divorce, my approach with my children shifted. I began to sit down and listen to everything they were saying. My daughter was like, Dad, I felt like this, and this is how I was feeling. This is how you made me feel. I had to sit back and take that. Knowing that as a father, that you have somewhat damaged. Your child in ways that you wouldn't even dream of. Take a lot out of you. But I
And-
didn't realize it until after my divorce because my focus wasn't there. And be able to just listen to her say, Dad, this is what you did to me. This is how I felt. It took a lot out of me, but it poured more into me. It was like when you got to unlearn to relearn.
Yeah. So what shifted?
I think it was, I had a sense of selfishness that was there.
See, now we're getting into it. Okay, so remember, I'm a dad too. I'm a guy too. Okay, so one of the things that we got to get on the table right now, like I think I have a certain level of trust from Jacob. I don't consider myself to be the expert. I consider myself in the journey with you, right?
Yeah.
We're sharing the manhood journey.
Yeah.
No matter what our background was, no matter what our parenting issue, there are some core things about being a man that every man shares. So I'm going to talk straight, okay?
Yeah.
I hope that there could be enough mutual respect and trust that like we have to come into this, especially now since we're going here.
Mhm.
I have a great, first of all, the audience needs to understand the level of trust it takes to be able to become that kind of vulnerable. You were just saying, Marquise, that men never have the opportunity to do that. And we barely sat down, and in 15 minutes, we went deep between two guys who have never done anything other than chatted online before. When we're willing to be vulnerable, then the process begins to start. And I can and let me share a story just the same. It's in the book because it was so transformational to me. Because we really talk about, even though the book is about values, your values apply to relationships, your values apply to your business, your values apply to your self image and your self-worth. So it was the pandemic. My daughter was home. She had lost her college graduation to to COVID. She lost all of her grad school money because if you're a music performer, there's no one to perform to in a pandemic, right? So she lost her future. But we were at home. We have a we worked hard, my wife and I, at our family culture. We weren't perfect, but we wanted a healthy culture of communication and all this stuff. Well, I'm a good multitasker. So I was on the computer and I've got the TV going on. Everybody's working from home, trying to figure out. My wife and my daughter are in the kitchen, and they're talking about like what they're going to make for dinner that night. And my daughter goes, "Mom, let's make some broccoli." And I heard my wife go, your dad hates broccoli. And I laughed because I do. I grew up like in a farming community in Central California. And when I went to work, like as a kid in the summer, I'd have picked broccoli. That was what our closest family friend, they own this huge farm. I hate the smell of broccoli. I hate the texture of broccoli. Like, don't talk to me about how good it is. I even try every year to taste it. Maybe my tastes have changed. Never. So, no big deal. That's common knowledge in my family. The next day, kind of same situation. I'm doing work and noise is going on, and I don't know what the girls were talking about, but I heard my daughter say, "Yeah, but that's not Dad's kind of thing." I don't know why that triggered, right? But I just overheard that. Third day is that same kind of situation. I think now I'm piddling out in the backyard. I don't know what I'm doing, sweeping or I don't know. But the girls are having a conversation, and my wife said, "Yeah, your dad's not going to want to do that." And immediately I heard a voice inside me that just said, "Dad wins." That everybody in my family knew what I liked and disliked and had arranged their lives around pleasing me. And yet that's counter to the decision that I had made as a dad. There's a scripture in the Bible that Jesus talks about his mission statement. And the most, God come to flesh. I don't know what you think about God and all of this religion, but picture this, that God says, I didn't come to be served. That's so counter culture. He says, I didn't come to be served. I came to serve and to give my life. And I thought, if God became a man and that was his mission, that should be my mission.
I love that.
So one of the challenges that we have with competition, one of the challenges that we have with this rejection is because I think we have the wrong goals and expectations. Because our perform for love culture, especially as men, we're designed for affirmation. We're designed for respect. Those are the things that we want more than anything. That gives us a sense of worth and a sense of value when we know that what we're doing and the sacrifices that we're making are acknowledged, right? Because if not, we'll go anywhere where we find affirmation, right? We'll work harder because the paycheck is affirmation. How many guys you know that talk about, like, look at my big old rims. Oh, you're still living in an apartment, but you got nice rims, the best rims in the neighborhood. Like, we look for anything that would make people notice us and make us feel like we're important.
Validated.
Why do you think men have affairs with people in the office? Right? Because the secretary thinks you're important and she doesn't see you leaving your dirty chonies on the floor that your wife has to pick up and put in the laundry, right?
Yeah.
Things change the minute that you see somebody's drawers and you have to put them in the laundry. And like the biggest way, you don't get rewarded for serving. You don't get acknowledged for giving your life away. And yet that's the thing that is the most rewarding thing over the course of our lives, is knowing that we've had the skill and the capacity to change someone else's life, and we direct all that energy towards ourselves. So, it's a pretty significant shift. That doesn't mean we don't work hard. That doesn't mean we don't. But the motivation behind it. How many times, guys? I meet with some of the most successful leaders down in Orange County. You know what they're still telling me? I'm still trying to get my dead dad to be proud of me. Because he never told me that he loved me. He never told me that he was proud of me. And all these things that I've accumulated, all these things, I'm still trying to get that like kind of approval from someone.
Were you raised by your father?
I was raised by my
Jacob,
father.
You were raised by your dad?
Yeah.
So with what your dad gave you, did you take that and give some of that down to your kids with what you learned from your father?
I tried. And
Some, yeah, because I mean, at the beginning, I grew up in a meth house, and after he got off the drugs, I mean, but there was even things during that time that he would teach me that I still pass down, because he would be like more like, do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
And he still teach me things, but when after he got off the drugs, he grew close to God, and it changed. He changed everything. So yeah, but then it was hard.
And I only ask that because everybody has different walks of life.
for sure.
I wasn't raised with my father.
Right.
My mother raised me. I had
Right.
7 uncles. Out of my 7 uncles, 1 was a pimp. 3 of them was abusive. It was a lot of different things that
Absolutely.
weren't for a young man to be learning.
Exactly.
So the things that I got wasn't coming from a father figure. My mom gave me everything she could give me, but it wasn't enough. We had our own issues. 11 years old, I was molested as a child. So there's things that I got that I should have never got.
Hey. I honor you. In front of these men, in front of Jacob, in front of whoever's watching. So many men carry scarring secrets in their lives. And we don't know how to rid ourselves of the shame. And especially in that kind of situation, then every failure, because the greatest violation that someone could ever experience the greatest violation that someone could ever experience, then every failure reinforces that encounter, that of self-degradation, of self-blame, right? Of the harm that someone else's will imposes on our lives. Hey, listen, the reason that admission right there should be a model for anybody that is listening. Like, you have got to find a safe place to be able to walk through life. I don't have a solution for you. Like, there's nothing I can go back. Nobody can go back and change that. And the fact that you have still continued to be able to navigate life, that your life as a dad, your life in your career has to overcome these obstacles, bro. I want you to know that in my eyes, I hold you with the highest respect, with the highest esteem. Because men who have to overcome these kinds of things, there are not just disadvantages, there are emotionally handicapping things that take place in our lives. Especially, we see the importance of childhood and how, bro. I just had a friend of mine at a church in Las Vegas, and he had to let go a staff member who was caught imposing his will on children in the church. Obviously, a huge thing, right? I mean, and they find these predators find these kind of places because they can find safe and they can find cover. And obviously, you can tell it would tear the church family apart, and it was just. But what started happening? He had 30 men that came up to him in individual meetings and says, I've never told anybody, but since this happened in our church, I told my wife for the first time, and now I'm telling you, Pastor, that when I was a kid, I too was molested. And this is the impact that it had on my life. More men than we can imagine have experienced that in his life. And one of the kids, holy cow, how did this go heavy like this? This is, when we lived in Nashville, in 95, we moved to Nashville, and we were living there, and that's when my kids were born, and we had a family that adopted us there. And they took us in. They threw our baby showers. We spent holidays with them because our family was back here in California. And the young man, who at the time was 15, and we were with him until he was 21 years old, involved in their lives, and we stayed connected throughout all the years. Man, just the best. A lot of things went on. Became a very successful businessman. And a year ago, February, he dropped his kids off at school, got into his Range Rover, drove down a country road, and took his own life. And so much of it is rooted in the shame of the experience that he could still never get over of having been molested as a child.
I've been there too. December 2018. Bottle of pills and bottle of vodka. I mean, as I said, as men, there's so much that we battle, and then you try to convert that over into fatherhood. And all you want to do as a man a lot of times is to protect what's yours.
Yes.
You want to make sure your children are going to be okay. You want to give them the right tools so when they get of age, they can go into the world and be able to fend for themselves. But are they ever really ready? And did you ever prepare them properly? There's all these different questions you have. And because of what I've had to deal with, I didn't have a father teaching me how to do what needs to be done for my children. Mine was complete trial and error. I didn't have a blueprint in front of me. I didn't have a man saying, hey, this is what you should be doing, and this is what you should not be doing. When you have children, instill this into them. I didn't have any of that. It was just, you go figure it out.
Hey, listen, we all know, we talk about privilege a lot in our cultural conversations, social conversations in America. You know that the greatest privilege, and it's marked in research studies, the greatest privilege that anyone has of any socioeconomic situation, of any racial situation, the greatest privilege anyone has is growing up in the home with a father.
Yeah.
So now, like, I don't mean to turn the corner. I'm not trying to be, because what we're talking about is real stuff. Like this, I don't know where to look. Whoever's out there watching right now, you need need to figure out something, how to get into a conversation like this to really trust some people in your life, because it really will be life changing. It really, like, I'm really believing that, Marquise, when we're done with this conversation tonight, hopefully it won't be our only one. There's other stuff that all of us got to process through, right? But that the men out there watching, even the ladies who might have caught this moment, understand how significant community and trust and authenticity is, because it's the only way to healing in our life. We can't listen, there's none of us that can fix what happened to you. But the fact that somebody who barely knows you, who hears this, Jake, we're not putting shame on you. We're like, bro, this is the strongest guy I've ever seen.
I think that's why I'm who I am today. I mean, the things that I've experienced, it's why I give. It's why I show up for everybody, because I didn't have nobody showing up for me.
So why, like, I don't mean to be sarcastic, please, or just like off the cuff. Why do you think Dad Academy is so important? We got 1 million guys who have no idea what to do. They got a plan when they go to the grocery store. We got a plan when we go to the gym. And we got no plan on how to, God has entrusted you with lives that he dreamed of. I don't know. Listen, y'all know that I'm a Christian. Y'all know that I'm a pastor, so I'm going to get a little preachy here. But, like, I don't know what you think about how life comes to being. But if it's not the most supernatural, beyond earth kind of thing that ever happens, that some little sperm can fertilize an egg and that it can grow into a human, and God says that you're the right guy for these kids.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about.
He chose, like, I really believe God creates people because there was something of him in his endless love that he didn't have an expression to be able to love. Now, I know a lot of people feel like, well, if that's how God loves me, I don't want no part of it. But he also says, like, he entrusted Justin and Jordan and now my daughter-in-law. You tell me if I have a responsibility to my daughter-in-law. I'm not going to be her dad, her biological dad. She has a great dad, but I want to be a resource for her. I want to encourage her. I want her to know that somebody has on her team. Like, God's entrusted these people to me. And for dads out there who don't take this dad stuff seriously, that's going to be your biggest failure, because nobody cares on your deathbed how much money you left to your kids.
But I think the hurdle sometimes is not really the fact of some of these men not being able to take it seriously. Like in my situation, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to turn. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know who to talk to.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
So that's a lot of the problem.
I think they just don't know, because I honestly, like I said, since I've been divorced, it's been so different with me. Like, I'll look at them, I'm like, how can I be a better father to them? I wanted to be the best dad I could be to them. I'm like, give them all the tools, and I started reading with them every night. Every night I have them, I read the Bible with them.
You know what I've learned?
And we talk about it.
Sometimes the answer is as simple as asking them.
Yeah, for sure.
Sometimes that's as simple as you can get. What am I not doing for you?
And that's a courageous. So one of the things in Dad Academy is we raise courageous kids. And courage, you can only have courage when you have trust. And they look to Dad to deposit courage into them. But that also takes courage. Also takes a certain amount of risk and vulnerability. And when a dad says, "How can I do better?" to his kids, when a dad says, "I'm sorry" to his kids, he's not just admitting failure. He's giving them permission that they don't have to be perfect either, and that their mistakes don't have to mark them for the rest of their lives. How many of us, our mistakes are the things that have marked us? Yeah. Right? Every man that I know has a list of failures that are greater than his achievements.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And again, I think it's because we measure the wrong things.
But if you made it through all those failures, you still got purpose.
Oh, bro. Well, perseverance is directly connected to purpose. And I think dads need to have a little more balls too, to stick some stuff out, even through the hard stuff.
We need more of this stuff.
That's why Jacob wants to do Dad Academy. Like, the book is not about information. The book is just an excuse to get guys together to talk about this stuff.
because they just don't. Most people just aren't even talking about it. That's the and I realized that a lot when and like I don't even know if you've seen the clip. Like when I said my mom said that, you said that, and usually I'd have been like, well, that's common sense, but it wasn't obviously for me because it wasn't common sense for me. But you can see in the clip in the video where I'm like, you're right. Like when you said that, it's like my mind didn't think that. It clicked in my head, and I was like, whoa. It just shows
that I'm one of the few that can get through to you.
it just shows that people aren't thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because they just think, oh, I'm just a dad. Like it's just this is part of the life.
I mean,
but there has to be a blueprint, like some type of thing that I think like enjoying moments with them, like you need to be there for them like the best you can.
Let me encourage you. The blueprint for the dad you want to be is already inside of you. We just don't know how to mine that. And again, Dad Academy is a tool to mine to help you discover the skills and ability and the assignment that you have to be the dad that you want to be.
Yeah.
And it's just learning how to do it intentionally so that we get away. Guys, when you agree that men are most successful when they know what's expected of them, they have a plan to accomplish it. Mm-hmm. But being a dad's the only thing that we're like, well, I wonder what's coming up today.
And you think I really think that's the most important thing you can do. I mean, like when you're a father and you're raising these kids, I mean, even raising the women, like we do these shows, dating relationships, and all these girls, either their dad wasn't present, or they're there, or they're not. They let them get away with everything. So we see this all the time. It shows how important dads need to be there. And so with my kids, I mean, I make sure I discipline them. I have such a great relationship with my kids. And I that's the one thing that I really pride myself in. Like I want to make sure I have a great relationship with them, but I try to make it better and better and better because I know they're gonna get older. Things they're gonna change. Their minds are gonna change. So I'm just trying to be there for them the best that I possibly can.
But we're in an era now where things are shifting and changing to where our presence is needed now more than ever.
Yeah, I really think that too.
As fathers, they're trying to strip a lot away from the fathers and emasculate the men and different aspects of things that are going on in the world. And they want to make sure that the information that the kids get don't come from us.
Yeah, they do.
Well, yeah, because if you can if you can grab the minds of the kids, right, then you're shaping the future. And again, like, listen, we think that divorce is traumatic for kids, and it is. Let me tell you something, a conclusion that I've come to. Okay, the number one cause of death in men between 35 and 65 in Orange County, according to our census, next to heart disease, is self-harm. So what do you think happens between 35 and 65 in most men's lives? Failures start to pile up. A divorce usually happens, right? Maybe you didn't achieve your career goal, so there's no sense of affirmation there. And I think that as men, we misunderstand what really is our drive and our purpose. We think that it's achievement in the workplace or success in our careers. And while those things are, we should view those things as tools with which then we create situations for our family to succeed. Could you tell me if your kids want you to make $20,000 more a year or want 20 more hours a year with you? Yeah. Right? So the reason why guys take their lives is because when you're disconnected from your family and you're disconnected from your purpose, then what is there to really live for? The world must not need me because that's the suicide lie, right? Things would be better if I'm not here. You somehow had to mentally shift that gear. My long-left friend didn't and left behind 4 kids who now got to navigate life without their dad knowing that he took his own life.
And you know that's even crazier because I had a friend, Stookie. He all his dad killed himself, and then his older brother killed himself, and about 8 years ago he just killed himself.
Bro.
So it just all the boys are gone. They all killed themselves, and I was just like, whoa, dude. And so you look at it, it just keeps going down the line.
That
Yeah.
battle was an internal battle that a lot of men struggle with. And when I spoke about being selfish earlier, that was an area where I was extremely selfish. Even the thought of it, and even the attempt in it in 2018, it's a very selfish thing because you're taking a lot from everybody around you.
It's a real quick slide. Again, think about the flip that happens in a man's life. If we're really created to serve, to live sacrificially, and I don't even pretend to do that well. And my wife would tell you he's got a long way to go. I'm the first to admit that I'm when I'm talking about this, I'm talking to me more than I'm talking to you. I'm having to remind myself all the time. You know, that's why God made me a pastor, right? He thinks that, oh, I can do something in Jacob and help him become the man that he has and have a podcast and do all this. Jeff Hamilton is such a wreck that I got to give him a job where he has to pay attention to me 24/7. That right?
I think
I feel like I'm
that's
the
great.
lower.
I think that's a great way of explaining it because I mean,
So I don't think I'm better
Yeah.
than. I think, in fact, like I have stronger boundaries.
well, just
placed on my
understanding
life.
that though is bringing like light to what you're how you even think because a lot of people just don't think that way. Like you have a responsibility, you have more responsibility on you, and you got to be more more accountable, and you got to look to him more. And it's
Or
like,
else I would have looked to me.
yeah,
Selfishness is our default behavior. Self-centeredness is our default behavior. And so when a man life starts zeroing in on himself, and again, it's usually the accumulation of failures or wounds in our lives because we're not trusting anybody to help us navigate that. Like, again, let's go back to some of the difficult things, divorce, the things that we've experienced growing up. And we look at each other and we carry such shame from those things. You do realize that in America, we're really good with guilt and innocence, right and wrong, right? We understand legal stuff. What we don't understand is shame and honor, because shame is a relational thing. It's about how I perceive myself in relationship to you. It's a self-diagnosis.
Mhm.
Now, sometimes people will shame you because they want to, as we would say, put you in your place. But honor is something different. I can't fix what you did, but the courage for you to be vulnerable, the risk that you took to be able to share something. I don't know how many times you've shared that with your life. I know men, that's not something that we're going to put a bumper sticker on our car, right? Or on our head or on our Facebook. Bro, that's the most honorable thing a man can do. The most honorable thing a man can do is to admit his failures and allow other people to see into his life that he can stop trying to maintain the facade of I'm good. And it talks about the need that we have, because you can't bring honor back to yourself. But I can. I can look at you across the room and say, man, that's a man I admire. That dude has been through some stuff. And he's willing not to let fear of these
rejection, anything.
yes, mark him.
I don't think people really understand that it is really okay to not be okay. When you realize that I'm not okay right now, and that's the first step to acknowledging that, then you can start trying to take steps forward to improving where you're not okay at. But people hide the fact that they're not okay far too often.
The thing is that when you're not okay, you can't fix it yourself. That's the other lie, right? So men, right, when they start that selfish slide, what they keep trying to do is to, another long story. That's a problem with having the pastor on the podcast, right? 2010, it was 2008. President Obama was giving money away for people to buy houses, $10,000 if you went to buy a house. I looked at my wife and said, if we're ever going to get a house, this has to be it. We're going to take whatever we can do, and we got proof for loan. And so we put in like 35 offers over 2 years. That's over 2 a month for 2 years. And nobody would take us. Nobody could figure it out. My wife is starting to panic, right? Because we have to be out of where we're at. Our kids are trying to get enrolled in high school and junior high. And she's like, I found this rental house in the school district in the area where we thought that we wanted to live. And as soon as we moved in, the dude who owned the house rented to us, took our money, we got the keys, we got him out and all this kind of stuff. Come to find out that not only was the house just weeks away from foreclosure, but he had taken, there were over $1 million in hard money loans, $20,000 from you, $20,000 cash from you, $30,000 cash from the other neighbor. He went around to all these other neighbors, collected $1 million in cash to do some kind of crazy investment that went south. He couldn't control it. It was not a bad thing. He was trying to do a housing development out here, like in Temecula when it was starting to grow. But that's when everything started to crash, and they lost everything. And all these people wanted their money back. He couldn't get it back. He's trying to fix it. All he's doing is like an ostrich burying his head further in the sand, digging himself a deeper hole. He loses his wife. He loses his thing. He ends up going to prison for all of this fraudulent thing just because he never stopped and said, can somebody help? I can fix it. I can fix it. I can do this. Bro, I there's so many men that just are a trainer. What are we talking about with Camp Agape? Why are the kids even get to go to camp? Why do they get to go to camp?
Their parents are in prison.
Their dad's in prison.
Mm-hmm.
And if their dad's in prison, 2/3 of them will go to prison. I mean, obviously, that's why Camp Agape is such a transformative thing, because we create a community with a new vision. Why can't we create a community for men that gives them a new vision for manhood?
Yeah.
That
I
equips them.
completely agree with that. I think that needs to be the focus. I think I don't see anything like this out here. And I think this needs to be like the number one thing. I really do.
I didn't see this until I started helping Jacob with the podcast. You don't see a lot of this, especially in the IE. There's not. I mean, there should be more programs for dads for sure, and there should be more for these young men. These young men are going to be dads soon enough.
Mentoring is a whole. Okay, so you know why I want you to be a great dad? Because you're not only going to father your kids. If you're a coach, what are you?
Mentor.
A mentor and a father figure.
My heart is for the children. I lobby for. I am an advocate for kids.
So
100%.
so we need dads not only doing a good job for their family, because there's always going to be men. Unfortunately, there's always going to be men that drop the ball. Yeah. There is always, like, we can't get away from, even the Bible says, true religion in James, it says true religion is caring for the orphans and the widows. What does that mean? It means, number one, there's always going to be orphans and widows, which means what? That there's always going to be men that don't do their job. Yeah. So what's going to be needed? Other men to step into that place. So I don't need you just to be a good dad to your kids. I need you to be a good dad to their friends when they come over to the house. I need them to be able to turn to you for good advice, for cheerleading, for perspective, for trust. The way that if the number one curse, we can trace almost every ill in every situation back to fatherlessness. So we need dads to understand that being a good dad to your kids is just the start. The number one need that we need, you know why young men are starting to come back to church? They're looking for mentors. Yeah. The challenge is we don't know how to mentor them, and they don't like the way that we mentor them. Because they think that they're so used to just going to YouTube and getting the answer, or watching some influencer. Like, here's what's happened with Dad Academy. I waited till my kids raised. Like, I have a lot of respect for dads who are doing a good job, but these dad influencers that you're getting your advice from somebody who's got a 6-year-old.
Yeah, and that's what Marquis even said. He goes, "What did you say on the podcast? You said the social media is their god now.
Yes.
Like, they're always looking at social media for answers now.
Unless we give them a reason to go somewhere else."
But a lot of parenting now has relied on social media to raise their children. You look at these parents now.
So that's on us.
3-year-olds and 5-year-olds. They're child has their phone in their hand all day, 24/7.
Then
2-year-olds know how to work YouTube better than some adults do.
then that's on us. That's bad parenting, right? I mean, like I'm not trying to. I'm in it as well, right? So, and I have my own issues. I guarantee if you were to watch how much time I spend on my phone or on social media and stuff, it's way too much for a 59-year-old man. I guarantee you. Okay, so these are the cultural dynamics, but still, there's nothing on YouTube that can replace what a mentor can do in a young person's life.
I completely agree with that.
But everybody now
I needed the whoop 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 on that one right there. I needed that. Yeah, there we go. That's what I'm talking about.
But everybody now is certified trainers and life coaches and
It's all
this
BS.
and that
I know.
because you could be whoever you want to be when you open your phone up. I could open my phone up right now and say that I'm this big billionaire and I can show a few things and now everybody believes it.
Bro,
You can be anything you want to be when you open up your phone.
I think people just got to get their hands dirty. Like that's what it comes down to. Like people can say whatever they want on social media, but if you see them in action, like doing stuff like this, I think that's where it needs to come down to.
I assume that people are often in these things. I want to assume that they're in it for the right reasons, but we need to break the influencer culture, and we need to embrace a transformational culture.
I like that.
A relational culture. I don't want to just influence you by what you perceive my image to be. What we just experienced is a transformational moment in the show that none of us came in today going like, oh, we're going to talk about dads. No, we're going to talk about me.
Now, even on the way here, I thought I was late, and I was like, okay, I missed the first segment. I was like, it is what it is. I didn't know what to expect. I definitely didn't expect to come in here and be
throw it all out on the table, right? But bro, I'm hopefully that we're modeling for the HOB community. Like, guys, this is what we want to create. And I don't want to be disrespectful to any of the other guests, but I know we got this dating thing that's coming on. I'll tell you what, those girls don't want me, who has daughters their age, sitting in on this thing, because I'm going to have a whole different story about the way that they should approach preparing themselves to share their lives for the rest of their lives. I mean, you can drop this in. Marriage is not 1 + 1 = 2. Marriage is 1 × 1 = 1. Somehow 2 whole and complete people come together. What's the goal? The goal of marriage, the goal of a relationship is unity, oneness. I mean, even the way that babies are made requires a physical unification, right? A literal melding together of 2 people. And the goal is emotional, is spiritual, is mental, oneness that complements, that creates unity. But we have too many young adults that see, what are they going to bring to me? What's going to be the plus? What are they adding to me? Bro, no wonder so many of our marriages are failing. But they're failing because they saw that they couldn't get this stuff at home from their mom and dad. And so I'm just going to look out for me.
Jeff, what would be, okay, for people watching, what would be the first step you think a man could take to try to, transform himself as being a healthy father to their children?
Well, the first step, I think, is that you got to understand that that's your assignment. Again, you don't get affirmation for being a great dad until after you're already done being a dad. Right? Your kid, I'll share I'm going to look into the greatest reward of my life is now when my 29-year-old son comes to me and says, Dad, what do you think? You know the kind of trust that takes? I honor him because he's humble enough to think I can trust my dad with the fact that I don't understand this and I need some perspective. And because he's a man. At 29 years old, would we not agree that you're a man?
Yeah.
but you also don't know everything, and you got to have some people that you trust that you can go to process information. That right there was the greatest affirmation of being a dad ever. Because my man will come to me as a friend, as a mentor, and invite me into his life. So, I think the first step is one, every guy here has no excuse for not having a plan to be a dad. If you need a plan to go to the grocery store, you need a plan to be a dad. And being a dad requires a continual updating of your plan. Every business has to update their business plan. Why do we not update?
That's true.
It is not the same to father a 5-year-old and a 10-year-old and a 15-year-old. Totally different responsibilities, totally different approach, totally different vision.
Even characters and girl and a boy, like it's everything. It's specific to that child a lot of the time.
You don't have to do Dad Academy, but you got to sit down and think, what kind of dad do I want to be? And that's all this is a tool. You got to figure this out. Stop shooting from the hip. Stop just reacting to what's going on. Stop letting your kids dictate how you parent with their calendar and their schedule and their commitments.
Yeah.
That's the first step. Second step is don't do it by yourself. I never really wanted to write a book. This originally was designed as like a master class, like a video curriculum that guys would sit in a table, watch a video, and then discuss. But you'll see that there's discussion questions in here all the way. One of the things that we're talking about in the new year is actually creating a cohort of guys who are interested. In fact, if you'll see down in the corner, there's a little a QR code. And you can already sign up for like the Dad Academy newsletter that provides like stories of guys. We've already shared a story of a young man of a gentleman who confessed about being molested and how that affected his story, how that affected his fathering. We try to give you practical tools and resources. Thursday, when the newsletter comes out, tonight's episode is going to be featured on the newsletter. Eventually, we want to create spaces with the HOB audience to be able to sit around and do that. And so that's kind of where we're headed. So number one, get a plan. Number two, get a group.
I mean, you can even join our network. We're talking about we wanted to go on dot locals, and you guys can come in that room, and we want to grow this like dramatically. We want to do it once a month, but even grow it even further than that. I think that we should do a lot with this, but I wanted to start getting more people to join the network. If you guys want to join the network, we'll shoot out some stuff on Instagram and all this different things where you can join the network, and we'll start pushing that.
I think the way that it's really going to grow, of course, it has to start somewhere. You got to take one step first. But I really feel like the growth is going to come outside of this room. It's going to come outside of the podcast. It's going to come outside of what we're doing. Of course, it has to continue for sure. But the true growth is going to come when we start stepping outside the walls.
Oh, listen, if you were to ask me what the dream of Dad Academy would be, this would be my fantasy. Because this is not a business. This is a mission. Okay? The dream would be that you're coaching youth basketball.
And I want to get back into coaching too,
right?
by the way.
There you go. So let's say you got 10-year-olds, at the local gym. And you just say, hey, guys, during the season, all the dads who are interested, hey, I want you to go buy this book. And what we're going to do is I'm asking you to read a chapter a week. And we're going to meet for coffee, or after a game, we're going to take a half an hour at the pizza place, and we're going to talk about this. That's the dream. That's the dream. Not that it's some professional thing where you come here, me lecture on a seminar, and then forget all about it. In fact, the real dream of Dad Academy, I know this sounds silly, but I'd like for you to read this book every year, because every year is going to require new things from you as a dad. And so imagine what happens when we start getting, what if just 1% of the dads in the IE, what if just 1% of the dads in the OC started being intentional and purposeful about being a parent?
That's right there, that word intentional. That right there is crucial.
I don't think that people even know that is the assignment at all, though.
Bro,
That's like the biggest
exactly
thing, I think, that they don't even know that they should be a good dad to their children.
We think our assignment is being a good provider,
Yeah.
and like giving them the kind of the things that they want, because we're so insecure. We may not know what's even expected of us, and I don't know where to go to get the resource.
We don't have the intentions.
So, like, this should just encourage guys, like, you can be the dad you want to be. You can do this. It's already inside of you, which goes back to the kind of athlete that you were talking about.
Mhm.
I had the potential. I just didn't put any effort into it.
But see, in that word potential, it's almost like a false hope of what you see in somebody. So when you say I see potential in you, it's
But listen, so one of the attributes of God is omnipotence.
yes.
Which is translated as all powerful. But omnipotence, potency, is also the word that we get potential. So you, being created in the image of God and being assigned to be a father, mean that you have all of the potential in the world to be exactly what you're supposed to be.
And we can only hope that one taps into
Dang, that was good. I love that.
and that's factual, but we can only hope that one actually taps into that.
Okay, so let's talk about hope.
Mhm.
All right, this is one of my favorite biblical words. Okay, so let me ask you a question. I told you guys a story about our home, and I mean, while we were trying to buy our home too, just as you know, Bank of America, we were trying to get our mortgage with them. Well, because they own the mortgage, they also were trying to evict us at the same time that we're living in the home. So we're getting letters from the legal about them kicking us out while we're trying to buy the house from the mortgage side. It was crazy. We would have process servers sitting outside of our house. We had threats about the marshals coming to kick us out. It was crazy. Okay, all that said, whose house do I live in?
The gentleman,
Right, not his house anymore.
the bank.
See, you're the first, because most religious people go, "Oh, Pastor Jeff, you live in God's house." I don't live in God's house.
We got to be more literal and logical. It's
Exactly.
the bank's house right now.
Okay, so if I call the bank and I tell them, "Hey, your hot water heater broke," what does the bank say?
Fix it
Why?
because you're in there.
That's right. That's hope. See, the bank and I have come to an agreement. Hope is not a wish, right? Hope is not a wish. It's not a fantasy that you wish will come true. Hope is an agreement. There's a promise that was made by the title company and with the mortgage company that if I make these payments, right, at the end of an assigned period of time, that property will become mine. But I have to treat it already as if it's already mine.
Mhm.
That's hope. Hope is the work you put in towards the realization of the promise. I don't get a bomb drop on that.
Yeah,
What's going on in the control room back there?
That was good because a lot of people will not put in the work and they just hope, but they will not put in the work. I mean, that's
wasted.
normal.
That's
to me.
wasted energy.
I mean,
Yeah.
the Bible speaks that faith without works is dead. I mean, you have to. You can not only believe in it, you got to work in it too.
Ambishun getting his preach on. Let's go.
Okay, so here's a hidden secret. So my dad had a church, and at my dad's church, this was 2011. I was a licensed and an ordained minister at my dad's church. Hidden secret nobody really knew about me. Yeah.
We just putting it all out on the table tonight, man.
Yeah.
Well, I think that you guys should know I paid my way through Bible college as a male stripper. No, I'm just kidding. that deserves a no,
like
just
that.
joking around. I mean, that's what's great about guys, right? We can find a way to relieve the pressure and the tension.
Even more
and,
under the pressure,
and-
we find a way.
Right. And I think it's important. And again, these kind of things that we're sharing, what's the shame in that, man? There's a different journey that God has been taking you on, and the cool thing about God is He takes you wherever you're at, and if you're willing, He just kind of redirects you. I always tend to think about God's leading of my life more like a boat, right? That it's easier to steer a moving vehicle than it is a stopped one. So as long as I'm moving, even if I have to turn around, which is the biblical word repent, even if I have to make a U-turn, it's easier to do that when I'm moving than when I'm just stuck. What we also want to do is we want to help dads start moving and not just feel stuck. Because all of a sudden, we've all experienced, as they say in parenting, the days are long, but the years are short. And let me tell you, man, I would go back to 5, 10, 15-year-olds all day. I would go back to that any time of my life, even if I didn't do anything different, because I loved it so much. We underestimate how much value that brings to your life as a man.
I think some of this got easier for me as we go because it's like I got to a point in my life where we all have a story.
Oh, yeah.
Like all of us do. And I got to a point where I felt like me holding on to my story and feeling sorry for myself wasn't going to help anybody.
Yes.
I began to feel as though, not even feel, I begin to understand that I have a purpose. And a lot of the trauma that I've been through, me sitting in it and trying to soak in it and feeling sorry for myself, doesn't help me or anybody else. But by me being vocal about certain things that I have been through, someone else has been there. They don't know how to get through. So me being able to open up in certain moments when it's time to do so, it's helping somebody.
Bro.
And if I can help one person in the room, then I feel like my purpose for that day is done.
You know, people say that all the time, and people rarely do it because it costs. Does it not? Like there was a cost tonight when we started to get real. There was a cost to that. But I will tell you what, the cost of that is helping so many people who are going to come across this. And not just tonight, because kind of the eternal nature of the way that things work, somebody's going to come across this podcast 5 years from now and be like, what was this all about? And boom, all of a sudden, it's still going to be speaking to them.
People look at me and think I've never been through anything. They think my life is perfect. I have money. They think all these different things. They don't know what my struggles are every single day and what I struggled with 5 years ago, or what I struggled with last week. They don't know. But they look at me and feel like, oh, that guy got it made.
Don't you think the same would be true of me?
They have no idea what the deepness of what's going on, which is why I'm okay with sharing, which is why I'm okay with speaking. And even in the moments where it's hard to be vulnerable, I can get past that.
Bro, nobody I don't know what you think, what kind of church I pastor or how big you think or successful. None of that really matters. But I will tell you that it's always been which one of us guys doesn't ever want to be more successful in their field, doesn't want to be more recognized. And yet, like all of those things is, if I pastored some mega church around here, I would never get to be involved with Camp Agape and seeing generational shift be able to happen. I would never get to have been able to listen to one of my young basketball players come from the nation of Sudan. And when I was walking them through as a senior, I walk all my seniors through both my baseball and basketball and any of the girls volleyball players or any athlete from our school. If they want to walk through a life plan with me, I walk them through this thing called the Dream Framework. It's about a life plan. And one of my basketball players who came here, like, I don't even understand parents who will send their kids. They're so desperate for an opportunity, they'll send their kids away 10,000 miles away and not see them for 4 years and entrust them to live in somebody else's house. And he came to our life planning session, and we're asking kids, what do you want to do? One of my kids wanted to be the starting shortstop for Indiana on his baseball scholarship by next spring, right? So he wrote out a life plan for how he's going to get there. This kid was like, I want to change the nation of Sudan. Like just being present and being available and engaging with people in their life, man, we don't even know how life-changing it really is, and to see what's really in their hearts. And guys, I got to tell you, like, the first place that men have to start is with the willingness to set the macho aside and just find themselves in a community like this, not over a beer, right? Not over a couple shots, not over a pool table or a card deck, but like using something that you're really going to use to better your life, to surround yourself with men who want to be better as well. Find those dudes.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of looked at it like that too, because I notice, you know, when you go to people, I would start going to people, and then, you know, a lot of people try to screw you over in business and all this different stuff. And I realized I would always call somebody when something cool went down or something happened. I'd be like, I call my friends like, hey, dude, this is going down, or man, I'm dealing with this, dude, this is crazy. They had businesses too, so we just go back and forth. But I just realized this a lot, like the last couple of years, that, but mostly now than ever, is I actually go to the Bible now. What I'm doing is, instead of complaining or talking to somebody about it now, I would like to go and talk to God. And I heard I don't know if you're familiar with Rabbi Snyder, Kirk Snyder.
Mm-hmm.
He's a Jewish man that turned Christian.
Right.
And I was watching one of his sermons about that, and he was talking about go to Jesus, go to him more than you would go to somebody. It is, but obviously, Jesus had his disciples,
Right.
and the disciples would all like disciple with each other. And I believe that you got to find the right people to do that with.
Well, even that's a powerful thing, right? The Western culture of leadership, because those are my advanced degrees, is in strategic and organizational leadership. And so if you're going to mentor somebody and try to create a movement, what you would do is you would take somebody into an intense 3-month period, teach them everything you knew, release them, and then you would find somebody else, right? So that means in a year you would have 4 guys. Over 3 years, you would have 12. The same number of people that Jesus had in his 3-year period, 12 people. But he chose, because he understands the nature of humanity, that the biggest thing was putting them in the learning community, so that he would say something and go, and guys would disagree or not able to understand, and they would have to flesh that out in themselves.
Ooh, I like that.
Right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't think it's by accident either that he chose men, because sometimes it takes longer for us guys to get stuff than it does the girls. That's a whole nother thing. But bro, this has been so intense. Like, I would be totally interested to see like what's going on the live. Like, what are the comments going on?
I was gonna have Marquise. Can you go ahead and go down and start going?
Because maybe there's some questions or stuff like this that we can get into.
Read out the name.
Which, by the way, I just got to tell you guys. Number one, as men, we're not good at taking compliments, so you got to take this as a good compliment. Plus, I'm older than y'all, so you got.
I welcome compliments. Go ahead.
You got to take this, bro. I'm so proud of you, and I don't mean that demeaningly. I'm saying that in the community of men, we rarely find men that are really able to trust, to be vulnerable, and I hope you walk away tonight with a sense of pride, of saying like, I'm a better man than I gave myself credit for than when I came in here. So I honor both of you, and Jacob, thank you for creating a space like this. It's going to be a very different situation in about half an hour when the next crew comes in.
We adjust.
Bro, this has been dope. So let's see what the community has to say.
First up, we got Naturally Nicey or Nicey, 100 with the bomb emoji. Eric Burnt, the wolf fire emoji. Eric Burnt again. He says we needs to be in school libraries. John Vallejo, great show, guys. Come on, somebody.
What's up, Uncle John?
Shout
out to Uncle John.
Lemony Fresh News, fire emojis. Find Jesus, that's right. Find Jesus again, so good, PJ. Lemony Fresh News, epic. Find Jesus again, laughing emoji. Find Jesus, it got real. More of this, Jacob, with the fire emoji.
Thank you, Find Jesus. I wonder who that is.
Yeah, I don't know who that is either. John Vallejo, Jacob. John Vallejo, Jacob, so good. Find Jesus, hoping for a mom academy.
Ooh.
Find Jesus again. I think y'all just started something here. Bomb emoji. Mm-hmm. Eric Burnt, fire emoji. Find Jesus, real men, real talk.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to Find Jesus. I wonder who that is. They said PJ, so Pastor Jeff. They probably know you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they definitely said PJ.
Yeah. Yeah. So
We appreciate you guys watching. If you guys can
Thank you.
please like and subscribe, and if there's any subjects that you guys want us to touch on, you guys can. And then we want to do a call in. John, do you is there something specific? I don't know if you can type it in there, or a number that they can call for the call in.
hey, while we're doing that, again, click the QR code. Maybe you could flash the QR code a little bigger. We'd love for anybody watching to start being a part of the community by just signing up for the Dad Academy newsletter. Comes out every Thursday. Real talk for real dads. Just a resource, man, to encourage you to keep us on track. And thanks for being a part of that and having some interest in there. So hey,
Yeah, we
y'all,
appreciate you guys watching.
This has been great. And again, we're looking forward to Jacob creating this opportunity every month. We'll get a little bit more practical, but I think there's an important lesson for tonight. One of the lessons from tonight is before you can get practical, you have to get real. Bomb drop
that one. Am I seeing some stuff in Facebook one? I don't know why I can't see it that good. I don't know if John, you want to look into that. But is there a phone number too?
Until again, this is the kind of thing that's going to create healthy communities when guys are really willing to lay it out there. It also comes with a commitment, because once you're carrying somebody's stuff, once you got to keep that in mind, not to hold it against them, but to just understand, man, this is what their journey has been, right? And so that's the kind of thing that builds the lifelong kind of bonds that especially men need, because under pressure, men by default, we isolate, we withdraw. And really the very thing that we need to do is to press into each other. As basketball coaches, we know that the worst thing that we want at the end of a game is for one kid to want to go one-on-one on 5. Right? Yep. In the last minute, we want to create opportunities for people to be successful. And if you got the ball, we trust you to make it.
You want to find that open man.
Exactly right. And I think that's why team is such an important concept for men, because it works against our natural instinct.
I never heard that like that. I like that though a lot.
Yeah.
I see the number in the. I don't know if you guys see the number in the chat. It's 213-259-3337. So if you want to call in, you can call in on that number, and we can bring you on in, and you can ask some questions, comments, statements, whatever you guys want to do. You guys can come in on that.
Be checking us out at dadacademy.info, and there's again more resources out of there.
We got a call in.
Howler.
Okay, what you want us? You want to screen it, or you want to just jump on it? Okay. Let us know when he's in.
This is dope.
Hello.
There
you go.
How you doing? Can you? Who's calling in? Can you say your name, caller?
This is John Vallejo.
John Vallejo.
Hey, what's going on, Uncle John?
What's going on, John?
Hey, I don't know if you see
Hey,
John,
great show, guys.
I don't know if you see it, but I got my Camp Agape shirt on, bro.
Amen, amen. Hey, I just want to say, wow, this has been an incredible show, and that I'm proud of each and every one of you guys. This is life-changing stuff, Jeff. Life-changing stuff. I mean, even for myself, I want to get together with you after this and talk a little bit more about this, because even as a grandparent, how I can use this with my grandkids and just being a mentor to all the kids that we have at camp now, and with breaking the cycle. But I'm just, wow, that was just powerful, Jacob. I think what you guys are doing now, this is generational changing stuff, bro. This is how we change a culture and how we change a society with what you guys are doing there, man.
Well, JV, I
very
think
powerful,
Johnny, man. I think that even this discussion that we're having tonight, you as a business leader right? Even in your job, and the number of men that you have under your supervision, and that we're not just keeping guys employed, man. We're giving an opportunity to change lives, and I think uh, these kind of concepts transcend even just parenting. But for Jacob, he's going to wake up tomorrow. He's going to go out to the garage, and he's going to have 10 employees that are out there, 15 employees that are all men that are carrying stuff like what we've just been talking about. How do we here at Fix It Garage create an opportunity for those guys to find some kind of safe spot, right? What do I do with my basketball kids that I'm coaching? John, what are you doing with a sales team and the guys that are happening in your particular company? Like when we start getting men willing to give themselves to this process and to live sacrificially and to trust each other and to be authentic and not to always, I think there's a healthy level of competition where we're drawing the best out of each other, but we don't want to have the kind of competition where we're putting other people down so that we can rise up, right? Not like the crabs pulling people back down into the pot so they can't escape. Yeah. When this starts to happen, man, we start to see cultures really begin to transform when men start really living their lives from a place of service and sacrifice. And no joke, John, you know this. I love you. We've been friends for more than 20 years. That's one of my favorite things about you is the way that you live and model sacrifice as a man, growth as a man, transformation as a man. And I just honor you for that. That's one of my favorite things about being your friend. And you bring that out in me.
Thank you, PJ. I appreciate that. And Jacob, hey, I just wanted to tell you, bro. Wow, I'm so proud of you, man. I really think you're stepping into what God has really called you to do, bro. And I know these gifts and talents that you've been doing as an entrepreneur and the business side is all just a training ground where God is really taking you. So I just encourage you just to keep pressing into what those things that you see God doing, you know, the word of God, you're getting, because the word is a lamp unto my feet, it's a light unto my path. It shows me where I'm at and where I need to go, right? As you start pressing into God's word and start, you know, formulating your businesses and stuff around him. I know we've talked about this before, Jacob, but I just want to encourage you, man, because I just want to, man, I was just blown away tonight on just how proud I am of you, man.
We already got an associate pastor here. We already got an associate ordained minister in the house, so we're ready to roll.
Thank you, Uncle John. Yeah, I feel like I'm just like led to this, and I don't know. I obviously, you know, something keeps calling me over here, and I this is real to me. And right when he brought this over here, I was like, we got to do this. We already talk about this a lot on the podcast too, so it's important, you know.
Yeah, Johnny, thanks for calling, Ben.
It's life change. I'll let you guys go, but all of you guys, man, I didn't get to hear the testimony. Liz had called me over and said, you got to hear this, you know, so, you know, hey, brother, I know I met you before when we were out there with Camp Agape and the kids, and I know those kids were touching your heart back then, you know, and just to be able to be vulnerable is where we need to be as men, right? As we share our stories, because our stories are always going to, you know, it says that we're redeemed by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. We only have a testimony if we tell somebody, right? And only the power that we walk through, that God is going to use it for his good, right? It says all things work for good for those who know him and called according to his purpose. And we think those things that happen in our lives, that sometimes that it's a negative thing, and it is, but God redeems it, right? He's a God that redeems it. But there's other people and other men going through the same thing. And then when we're vulnerable to say, hey, you know, I'm going to be vulnerable here and I'm going to share with that. And then other men are going to say, hey, you know, I could do the same. You know, you're just a huge encouragement to so many. I just thought that was so powerful. So I just want to thank all you guys. I won't take any more of your time, but have a blessed night.
You too.
On purpose.
Thank you.
Love you, bro.
Thank you.
I don't know about y'all. I mean, this is good, but like I'm shot. Like this was heavy.
Yeah.
Right? Like this is. We need like a halftime or a timeout for a second to kind of like regather.
We could do that. It's 7:30.
Where's the water boys at? We need water.
Yeah, for sure,
It's
man.
my Gatorade bottle.
Yo, this is, gosh, it makes me it makes me weep. Um, to some extent, like this is what freedom really starts to feel like, I think. And it's not always going to have these kind of moments. Um, I love the times when my wife and I kind of return back to the dating days, and there's a little romance, and she puts a little extra effort into putting a little extra touch to let me know that she's thinking about me. I love getting to plan a little extra and pick up flowers and do something sweet. But that's not marriage. Those are the moments that remind you what it's all about. Real marriage is loading up the dishwasher and taking out the trash and navigating the finances, and like that's the work. And the reward are those moments. But like the work, the day-to-day life being a dad is not sexy, it's not pretty. But to get to have a moment like we did tonight that just says, man, we have so much more in common. And if we will be sensitive and thoughtful and considerate of each other, that's the greatest way to earn respect from another man. It's crazy.
How long have you been married?
In November 7th, it'll be 33 years.
When you initially got married, in your mind, were you prepared to be a husband, or you just wanted to be married?
Bro, I didn't realize the damage that I did to my wife in the first 10 years of our marriage, trying to make her into what I thought that she should be. To tell you the truth, it's irreparable damage.
So you just pretty much wanted to be married. You weren't prepared to be a husband.
No, I loved her, and I wanted to be a good husband. I just loved Jeff more. Right? I like to be real honest, and I didn't realize the kind of woman that God had given to me. And so I wanted somebody that would kind of fit my image and whatever I thought that I was. And my wife still, there's a tone of voice that I take. She grew up in an all-girl family. So it doesn't matter what you say, it's the tone. And it's what they think that you're saying behind the words. As men, we just say what we say and mean what we mean, right?
Yeah.
And and I'm a coach, and I used to run kids, and so I'm used to getting big and loud and direct. That does not work with my wife, and it literally shrank her. I'm spending the next. I made a commitment in 2020 after Dad wins. I want my wife to succeed, and to tell you the truth. Now, there's a work that only God can do in her life. She has her own stuff that she's got to sort through. And I've repented. I've asked her forgiveness. Like I've acknowledged that like I messed this up.
What made you realize that it wasn't just about Jeff?
Maturity, growing up. I think, to tell you the truth, it was a lack of perceived success in my career that made me reevaluate how I viewed myself and the inflated self-importance that I had.
Dang, that's heavy to say.
It grieves my, like, I don't have a lot of regrets, but that's one of them. Because the Lord gave me, if you're to meet my wife, she's the person that everybody feels safe around. She brings a lot of joy, but people feel comforted in my wife's presence.
How long did you know her before y'all got married?
Oh, bro, that's a whole nother story. We were only in each other's physical presence over the course of 6 months from the day we met to the day we married. And we were only in each other, because I was living in North Carolina at the time. She was living here. And we were only face to face for 30 of those days over a 6-month period before we got married, from the day we met to the day we married.
Hmm.
So to tell you the truth, I just thought I was a catch. I mean, I don't mean to be, I loved her, what I thought. But if I'm going to be like totally embarrassingly honest, honey, I'm sorry, but like, I kind of thought I was a catch because I'm on a high trajectory, and I'm like, people liked me, and I didn't know what an unbelievable gift that God had given to me. I can't believe how many times my wife covered for me when I would just steamroll people. In fact, 3 years ago, I was watching my wife. We were having a discussion, and there was a person that I used to consider was kind of like below me, right? And in our relational circles and stuff like this, and now they're in a position of influence, and they didn't pay any attention to me. And I was like, who do they think they are? And I really felt, again, that inner voice say, no, who do you think you are? Why do you even think that somebody is below you or not as? I have two big regrets. One, just not treating my wife with the kind of honor that she deserved in early years in our marriage. And number two, that I just wasn't kind.
So
I wasn't nice to everybody.
if you had the opportunity to do it all over again, would you change anything or you keep it the same? Because if you change something, you may not be who you are today.
I don't even play that game. At this age, I don't even play that game. I've got life lessons behind me, and I hope to always be growing. I hope to always, again, I didn't know what I didn't know.
So do you feel like you're living or existing?
Oh, I feel like I'm living right now. But the problem is, it's not easy. Like, bro, we're having a discussion about like the credit card bill, right? Like, we got real life stuff, right? I'm out there driving a 2013 Ford Edge. I'm not rolling up in my new lease, Expedition or whatever I'm a real dude, right? We've made some choices over the course of our life to pursue certain things that limited our financial opportunities, and I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Those were I wouldn't go back and redo anything, but I do have that regret. Like, why can't you just be nice to people? It's so easy.
So is it easier for you to be nice now? 100%?
No. I have to think because I have 50
Just used
years
to
of
it now.
programming
Yeah.
that I'm having to overcome. So I have to literally, because my wife's the type of person that would like to talk to one person for 90. Like when we go into a room, she wants to talk to one person for 90 minutes. I'll talk to 90 people for 1 minute, and then I'm out, right? Then I'm looking past the person, like, who else is coming up next? Who's the next most important person?
Mm-hmm.
And I catch myself doing that, and I'm embarrassed. Why do I do that? That's a hard programming. When you've done that your entire life, that's a hard programming to get over.
It's hard to unlearn certain behaviors.
Yep. Now, the cool thing is you literally can. Your brain can rewire. But that means you gotta kill that off. Wait, we're not talking about me now. Let's go back to the other stuff where we're talking about y'all. But I think this is real stuff because, I hope it adds weight to Dad Academy.
Yeah.
Right? Like we're digging down. You're gonna have to look in the mirror a little bit.
Mirror checks. I call those mirror checks.
Absolutely. But the fact is, my kids love me. My wife still loves me, right? Now we're in a big transition because now we've discovered like we don't like any of the same things, and my kids aren't in the house. So now what do we do? We're in a season after 33 years that we're having to relearn each other and having to make mutual sacrifices so that we can find common ground on what we want to do, because now I'll be with her longer than I had kids.
Yeah.
So I've got to change. The word isn't evolve. There needs to be a transformation that continues to take place, a continued growth that takes place if my marriage is going to be, because remember, God didn't only trust me with my kids. He trusted me with his daughter.
Yep.
Right? So any of you guys, like that's the conversation I wish I could have with these girls tonight who are coming in to talk about. Like, you realize you're God's daughter, and your job is not to hold out for a man with a certain number in his bank account. Your job is to make sure that your character is formed in such a way that you'll be able to live selflessly the way that moms have to.
Amen, brother.
Justine
but
Zeke says, my.
And that's the whole process. See, I had a good friend of mine just say, I remember the day I became a man at 58 years old, when I finally realized my life is not about me. That's a lifetime of learning right there.
Yeah, no.
And so it doesn't mean that it doesn't concern you, but it goes back to the selfishness issues, right? How many guys are really willing to admit, like, no, I'm kind of selfish? Because everybody else's world revolves around me.
You know how hard it is to be selfish with a big heart?
Oh. Well, you kind of have to, because you have to protect yourself a little bit, because that big heart always gets abused.
Trampled on.
Right. And so, like, we develop these defense mechanisms. And all of us, there's a passage in the Bible that says, don't be conformed to this world, but be transformed. Like, there's a change. And I always say, like, in churchy world, like, the world is all the bad stuff, right? But to me, the world is the world that you've created that explains you to you. And we live our whole lives directed by that internal programming that's happened over the course of our lives. And what we need to be able to do is there has to be, for the best of ourselves to emerge, we have to change that way of living.
Yep. I like that. Any last words? The floor is yours right here at the end. Where they can find you again, what we're going to be doing with Dad Academy,
Where they find the
all
book.
of that.
Yeah, dadacademy.info. Find the book on Amazon. We're going to be doing like a special, though, like through Howls. We're going to, like, if you want to buy 2 books, you and a buddy, you and your dad. Grandpas are the secret sauce in this, too, because they get a chance to do a do-over with their grandkids, right? Now they can invest because they don't got to pay rent.
Yeah.
Right, they don't got to buy groceries. They just get to invest into their kids. Buy 2. We'll do there's a 2 for $25 thing that's on the newsletter. We're running specials all the time. Amazon, it's like $18, right? $17.95 or whatever. But eventually, what we're going to do is down the road, again, we're going to try to actually do an online. Group.
Yeah,
like we'll do it here.
online
We'll
group.
do it here, and we'll just walk through some of the stuff. And any of you guys that want to be a part of it, kind of like a Zoom type class. Or
Yeah, we
something
can
like
have
that.
you guys right here on the screen. We could be talking to you guys. You guys can ask questions, all kinds of stuff.
So that's going to be a little bit more money. But the reason why we're going to cost that thing, Jacob, is because the most important thing that you're going to do is be a dad, and we're going to charge you what it costs you to take your family out for a nice dinner.
Yeah.
Because a guy won't do what he doesn't invest into.
Yeah.
So we don't want to price it.
That is true.
We don't want to price it to where it's going to exclude anybody. Nobody should be excluded for not being able to go.
And we'll be doing it on howlsoverbaz.locals. So if you guys don't have Rumble, you guys probably have to download Rumble, and then you can get .locals through Rumble. It's like a what is it? Just a paid subscription. So we'll get all that together for you guys, and
Be looking for it in January.
we'll get this thing rolling.
We got a couple more dates in November and December. We'd love to hear from you throughout the time, whether it's on the reels, whether it's on the shorts, whether it's on the TikToks, we want to hear the things that you want to talk about
Yeah.
as dads, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's prime the pump a little bit. Let's continue to keep mining this a little bit,
Yeah.
and get to the material that you guys think would really be helpful, so that we could start to build
Yeah.
what you've experienced here tonight. This is what it should be.
Yeah. And we appreciate all you guys coming in, the call-ins, watching everything. Please do not forget to like and subscribe. We know the slogan, so we'll look at the shed the sheep. We're gonna look at the camera on 3. 1, 2, 3. Shed the sheep. Howls over Baaz. Dad Academy, a segment. I'm Jacob Casas.
This is Ambishun, the Black Cup.
Jeff Hamilton, PJ.
Thank you guys for watching. Peace. We're out. Peace.